President, thanks very much for joining us
Thank you
today.
very much, John.
It's very nice to have you here in Montana. Obviously, we like to say welcome to Montana when we
Right.
start an interview, but we already had thousands of other people do that for you last night. Tell us
was
about the
great,
rally, your reaction to
Well,
it.
it was a beautiful scene. It was a great evening. And as you know, Matt Rosendale is a fantastic person. That's why I'm doing it. I know how good he is. He's got a great heart. I hated to see what John Tester did to the Admiral. We have an Admiral who's a world-class human being, and they lied about him, and they demeaned him, and they defamed him. And they, a normal person, I would say they ruined him, and he'll be fine. But what they did to him was horrible, what they did to his family. I sort of call welcome to the world of politics, but it shouldn't be that way. But what Tester did to him was a terrible thing, terrible, terrible thing. So I came here for Matt, and he's a terrific person, really a terrific person. He'll be a great senator for Montana.
Okay. Let's jump into the news of the day. Good economic numbers
Yeah.
today. We saw the jobs report get 200,000 plus.
Right.
And unemployment rate at 3.9%, staying steady there. What do you think?
And wages up, first
Yes.
time in a long time. They said that couldn't be done. Wages up, full unemployment. It's going to get better. We have tremendous potential. We're opening up our country. We're taking off regulations that are horrible. The big tax cuts, which the people of Montana really appreciated. I saw that last night because as soon as I mentioned the word tax cuts, they were going wild. That was a packed house. That was a beautiful place, by the way, but a packed house. And it's just all happening. But a very big thing this morning that is being covered that way, actually, were wages, because wages have gone down for years. I used to tell in the campaign that for 18, 19 years, they'd work 3 or 4 jobs. They'd go out and they'd just work all the time, and they were making less than they were making 18 and 20 years ago. And now wages are finally going up, which is what I really wanted. So to me, that was the biggest news.
What our biggest economic driver in the state is our farm and ranch
Right.
economy. And we look at an economic driver that's over $2 billion a year. And the farm and ranch economy relies on exports. And
That's
they
right.
need to have a good place for those goods and services to be shipped out.
Right.
There are some farmers and ranchers who are nervous with new trade agreements looming out
But
there.
they're with me all the way because they know I'm doing the right thing. I mean, I know
So
exactly
tell us
what you're
about
talking about. And they are. They're a little bit nervous, but they have confidence in me. They have trust in me. We're opening up barriers. You see what I'm doing with Canada as an example. Canada has not treated us well. And big barriers. They pay, there's a 300%, think of it, 300% tariff if you sell dairy products into Canada. We're saying we're not playing this game anymore. They have a tremendous, if we look at our surplus with Canada, it's not a surplus, it's a huge deficit. So we're changing and we're being tough and let them be tough, but we're opening up countries. We're opening up the EU, that's Europe. We're opening up, probably we're going to be opening up China. We're in a big, big fight with China. What I love about the folks in Montana, and they are important to you, but what I like about the folks in Montana, they know it's not right what's been happening for many years. China's been taking out $500 billion a year from the United States, and they've been rebuilding China. It's been bad for us. So I'm in a very tough battle, and we're going to win the battle. We're going to absolutely win it. And what I love about the farmers and ranchers and all of the people in Montana and other states, to be honest with you, because they're all seeing what's happening. We're winning all these battles. We're going to win against China. We're going to win against Canada. We're going to win against everybody. And ultimately, it's going to be a win for them, too, I assume, because there's got to be a two-way street. But we have all the cards. Our country has all the cards. We've never had a president that wanted to play the cards. They were willing to accept a bad NAFTA deal. If you look at farms over 15 years, before I got here, 15 years they've been going down. If you look at soybeans, and I tell this often, 5 years before my election, it cut in half, okay? So 5 years before the election, before that great day in November 2 years ago, soybeans went down like this. So the day I got elected, they had dropped 50%. It wasn't good. You know that. And we're opening up markets because they were closing markets. And they were closing them for their farmers and for other reasons, but they were closing markets. We say if you want to play the game and if you want to be with the United States, you have to open up your markets to our farmers, to our ranchers. You have to open up your markets. And the people of Montana, they know that. And you know who knows it better than anybody? Matt Rosendale, because he's pushing me, make a great deal for our farmers, for all of our people, and for the country. Right. But Matt Rosendale, the first thing he said when I met him last night is, please make a great deal for the farmers.
And our ranching community loves Mexico and Canada.
Right.
And so they're also looking for you
They're
to
going
do
to be
a deal
happy.
with Canada.
Well, we already have a deal with Mexico,
right.
which is a much better deal than we had. We had a horrible deal. We were losing a fortune. We were losing $100 billion a year on NAFTA with Mexico. It's just, what country wants to do that? So now we have a fair deal with Mexico, and we very well could have a fair deal very soon with Canada, or maybe not. And if we don't, we're going to do just fine, because we have another alternative that maybe is better, to be honest. But we'll see what happens.
Okay. Coal is another big economic driver in this state. We rely on it for state tax income. You're still bullish on coal, even though the natural gas option looks
Well, natural
pretty good.
gas is good, but we need coal also. You know what we need coal too? As a military alternative, because, you know, they blow up a pipeline, that's the end of your natural gas. With coal, you can dump it over there. You have 2 years supply at your big plants. You can truck it over the roads that are no longer in existence. You can do a lot of things. So, no, coal is very close to my heart. Clean coal. I won your state by 20 points.
Yes.
I won West Virginia by 42 points. I won every coal state by a lot. And we just had a rally in West Virginia. It was unbelievable. Same thing as last night. You know, it's really pretty much the same everywhere. They like what I'm doing. And coal, I just looked out the window, and there was a train, the longest train I think I've ever seen.
110 cars.
And
probably.
is that a standard, like 110? Could it be a little bit longer if they wanted? Why is that? Is that an actual standard?
That's what they roll with.
Oh, really? Okay, well, then it was 110 cars, and every one of them was loaded up with coal. And they say 2 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that scene. So it's pretty good. Okay. The coal people like me, and I like them, the miners.
Let's talk about a couple of things in current events.
Sure.
Right at this moment, I saw this morning on Twitter, you mentioned Bob Woodward's book, Fear and Calling It a Sham. What did you see in that you didn't like?
Well, it's a scam and a sham.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what I didn't like. I'm quoted as a fool, because if you look at the way, I don't speak that way. I'm highly educated. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I don't speak that way. They're giving quotes. Now, if these quotes even exist, I don't know. Do they make them up or what? They say they got them from a lot of people. Now, General Mattis, who's highly respected, said he never said that, and he gave the most beautiful renunciation of the book. General Kelly, the same thing. He said, I never said that, and he gave. And if you look, many of my cabinet people, many of the people that were quoted said they never said that. They never said that. And I actually said in the tweet this morning, I said, look, if I spoke that way, I'd never be president. I did it last night. I said, if I would act like the way they say, I'd never be in front of you. And I'll speak for an hour to an hour and a half in front of massive crowds, usually without even notes. You don't do that unless you're very capable, very, very competent and capable. So these books are terrible, where they can write anything they want. They can make up the most horrible statements. One person said he was in a room, and I was so good. So it was this morning. He was interviewed. He said, I was at that meeting. He was so good. It was a military meeting. But the way they phrase it, it sounds like a fool. I don't talk that way. And if I did, you would have found it out over the last 2 years. You would have found it out during a campaign where I took down 17 Republicans and Hillary Clinton. And I guess you could say Bernie, too, because in a certain way I had to take him down. But I beat everybody and beat them badly. A foolish person wouldn't be able to do that. They would have been long gone. So books are, I've had some very good books written. Judge Janine, so many of them have come out. Greg, I'll tell you the book on the whole Mueller investigation, that the scam of Russia, this whole scam that's going on. There's no collusion. Very interesting in the book. They hardly talk about collusion. You know why? And he would have loved to. That's his business, right? You know why they don't talk about it? Because there was no collusion with Russia. So I'm overall, I have to say, the publicity we've been getting has been really good. This letter that was written to the New York Times with nobody knows who it is, right. I think it's really turned around and hurt the New York Times. It makes them look so bad. And
You'd
I
like
think,
to know who it was.
oh, I think it's a disgrace. Because normally if somebody wants to write something bad, that's okay, because you can go back at them and you debate the issue and somebody comes out on top. You don't know who this person is. It may be a low-level person just writing a letter. You know, we have thousands of people working over there. So I think it actually has turned to a point where the New York Times is looking very foolish.
All right.
And very bad.
One last one, and that's
Yes.
just to kind of give us a sense of the state of the union, and people seem to be divided in our country right
Yeah.
now, and I'm sure that that weighs heavy on you.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you look at trying to bridge that divide.
Well, it's a very interesting and good question, because in one way it's the strongest we've ever been. The economy is the best we've ever been. Your coal miners are coming back like never before. You know that they were out of business. If I didn't win, they were out of business. There would be no more coal taken out of the ground. I've taken regulations off by the hundreds and hundreds, and I've been thanked by everybody from the miners to the owners of the mines that were going out, literally out of business. We're doing fantastically financially. We're doing fantastically militarily. We're doing well in every single way, other than there is a tremendous hatred. I watch Judge Kavanaugh, who's central casting, great intellect, top student at Yale. We just went through Justice Gorsuch, #1 in this class at Harvard, #1 in this class at Oxford, and it was nasty, but not as nasty as this one. And we have a man who is just an extraordinary man, a great intellect. And I think, frankly, the other side's making fools out of themselves. But the level of hatred, the level of animosity, it's hard to believe. So if I was going to say there's any one problem in this country, it is definitely that you have two sides and there's great division. And there shouldn't be that division. But it seems no matter what you do, no matter how good, look, wages are going up, such a big thing. Numbers are great. The stock market's at an all-time high. There's more people working in the United States today than ever before. Think of that, ever before. We have more people working. African-American employment, you know, as you know, is doing great. Asian employment, Hispanic employment, women's employment, every single stat is fantastic. The only thing, you hit it, the only thing that troubles me is when you see an economy doing so well, a country doing so well, and yet there's this level of division and hatred, and that's a shame, and maybe we can do something about it. I hope so.
Okay, one more shout out to the people of Montana.
Well, you're very special people. I want to thank you for that 20-point victory, and I will say this, Matt Rosendale is a winner. Successful, really loves you, loves this state. He's going to be a fantastic senator. John Tester's done some very bad things, and things that cannot be rewarded, especially in hurting a great human being like the Admiral. He's a doctor and he's an Admiral, and he was hurt really badly by John Tester, and it all turned out to be false. So we want Matt Rosendale, and it's very important that he wins, and it's very important because Tester will never vote for any of our agenda. When we talk about Second Amendment, when we talk about all of the things that we talk about, even when we talk about coal and regulations, he will never vote for us. He's always going to stay with Schumer and Pelosi, always. So I just say vote for Matt Rosendale.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
Very good.
Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Great job.
Yes, thank you.